Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss Simone Jackson, aka Miss J, here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know the J Lounge is a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk with actors, directors, comedians, singers, authors, you name it, they all come down here and they all have a really, really great time. As for normal, I am very excited to be introducing my next guest. He is a stand-up comedian from the north side of Chicago. He's also produces the monthly Big Black comedy show at the world famous Den Theater, and he is here to talk about his comedic style and what makes him tick. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to the one, to the only, Melvin Stewart. Hi,
Uh,
Melvin.
uh,
I
sorry,
was
that was
2 seconds away from doing that. I was 2 seconds
pew, pew, pew,
away.
pew. You know.
You know, how you doing, Melvin?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you so much for having me. I don't know, I feel real special now. I saw that the timing, like it's Pacific time, so that means you in LA. That means you basically a super famous person asking me to do this interview. So like, thank you.
Of course, of course. I am happy to have you on, and I am ready to get this interview started. So I'm going to shoot the first question at you, Melvin. When did your passion for comedy begin?
Let's see. Let's see. That's a great question because it's hard to say when it actually began, but if I would summarize it to a time frame, I would say maybe around like 2010, 2011.
Mhm.
Um I was in a super impressionable age. I was in high school at the time. And do you remember when Seriously Funny, the Kevin Hart special came out?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and all right, all right, all right, like all that type of shit was like, people, you be walking through like
Gold.
the hall. Yeah, you'd be walking through the hallway and you'd hear people in your high school like saying
Yep.
that stuff, you know what I mean? So like, I think for me that's really where it began, because it was like, even before then, I had little aspirations, even as like a 13-year-old. I was like, I think I want to try and do stand-up comedy. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about at 14. Like, I've only had one girlfriend, and I don't know, like, what do I say? But like, I had some aspirations here and there. But like, I think then it was just like, okay, maybe I need to give this a shot, and that led to me giving it a shot. And I don't know, that's a long story, but the quick way of saying it is, like, I tried to like I ended up hosting like an event at my high school, and it wasn't anything funny. It was like a Black History Month thing. I tried to tell a single joke, and wrong audience, wrong time, and because that joke didn't land. This was me at 16. Because that joke didn't land, I'm like, okay, maybe comedy isn't for me. You know what I mean? But like I said, like literally, like my freshman year of high school is when that comedy special came out, and I was like, okay, this feels real. Like, for me, like, Kevin Hart was one of the first people who made comedy look easy, like from me watching
Yeah.
stand up. So I was like, oh, he just telling stories about his family and his kids and his life. Like, I could do that. And obviously, I
Yeah.
learned it's way harder than that, but that's what I thought. So that's really
Yeah.
where it began.
I love that because you are so right. Back in the early 2000s, we didn't have, I mean, of course we had social media, but instead of doing like memes, we would just quote Kevin Hart to each other for jokes for the
Yes, Kevin
longest
Hart, Cat
time.
Williams, like,
Pat Williams, Dave Chappelle. We
yeah,
for years that was our memes. We would just throw those jokes because and you're right. Kevin Hart is one of the first, I think, comedians to really go worldwide. I mean, you saw him in Switzerland. You saw him in the places that wouldn't know the name Kevin Hart. So you're absolutely right.
yeah. And for me, it was like before, other than Cat Williams, like seeing Cat Williams, on like Wild and Out, and now I'm seeing him doing these like super popular comedy specials. For me though, I didn't really grasp it, but like for Kevin Hart, it's like I remember seeing Soul Plane as a little kid,
Yep.
and then as a teenager, I'm like, oh, this man is like super duper famous. So it's like you just saw the progression, and you saw like how he went from like everybody kind of hates this movie, but like now he's a worldwide superstar. Like it
Yep.
was a quick transition.
You're so right. You are so right. It was a quick transition. So, but that also kind of gets me into my next question there, Melvin. Name three people who influenced your career.
Okay, got you. So, the first one I have to say is Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and to clarify, like a lot of people can't tell by the because of my how I look, but I was born in 1997, so I'm kind of past the I'm kind of past the In Living Color days.
Yeah.
But as like I think I was like 9 or 10. We had Comcast at the time. I remember I stumbled upon um Into the Foxhole, which was like a stand-up special Jamie Foxx released in like 1993 or something like that. Like it was a super old special. I randomly found it on demand somewhere and I watched it for the first time and it was like jaw dropping. Like even as a 10-year-old, I was like, oh, he telling jokes, he's singing, he dancing, like he doing a little bit of everything. This is like a multimedia experience and like a single like hour long show. And I that's probably to this day I haven't seen that I've seen that special more than I've probably seen any other movie, any TV show, anything else. Like I've seen that special at least probably 40 or 50 times. Like no exaggeration, so that's my first major one because like that's where I kind of first really got my taste of stand-up comedy. And let's see, somebody that's not a comedian at all, but I do have to say influenced interest in comedy was my dad because me and my dad used to watch the Chappelle Show together, and
Yeah.
it was like, and my dad, I remember for some reason, my dad would always just be like commenting on his outfits, like Dave Chappelle's outfits, like how come that hat don't match the rest of his outfit, but like he still was watching it like frequently, or like sometimes if I would watch it without him, he'd be upset at me, like he like what like oh I didn't see that episode, what you did, like what you mean? Mm. And let's see, I'm trying to think names, because there's a lot of people. Another person I could say that influenced me would definitely be he's a comedian from Chicago. He's a nationally touring headliner though. His name is Vic Panja. He's an Indian comedian,
Oh,
but yeah, he's a very he's not super famous, but he's definitely headlining all over the country, like in various
yeah.
spots. And he has like a dry bar comedy special, very funny guy. Like he was when I first got into producing shows, he was one of the first people that we booked to like headline the show. And it was like we paid him like $50. He did like 20 minutes. And for me, it was the first time like as like me being like a year into stand-up comedy, it was like okay, this is how it's supposed to be done. Like because
Yeah.
I had seen him like working some jokes at like a few open mics in here and there, but when I saw him actually doing his worked material, I was like, oh, this is like the funniest dude ever. Not
Yeah.
literally the funniest dude ever, but for me, I'm like, oh, he has a grasp on how this should be done and like how he has a handle of his material and he pretty much like helped me check all the boxes of like those like pre-comedy insecurities, where you're
Hmm.
like, am I talking too fast? Am I moving too much? Like he just looked so comfortable on stage and it was like I hadn't seen anybody in my direct, like vicinity at that time who was like that. So yeah, he's definitely one of my influences as well.
I love your choices, especially Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx. I mean, who didn't watch the Jamie Foxx show? Who didn't watch his stand up? I mean, he was one of the comedies of the 90s. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just he was one of the cornerstones. I mean, I just have memories of my older brother, laughing his ass off just watching the Jamie Foxx show.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I loved it.
yeah, no,
Hmm.
I was there too. I was laughing
Hmm.
too, so I get it. And then, of course, parents are always going to be a major influence because I know for my mom, she's definitely a huge influence for me when it comes to comedy because she loved watching the Kings of Comedy and the Queens of
Hmm.
Comedy. She watched
Yeah.
that constantly. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that. And of course, I love the fact that you have someone from your hometown that you look up to too.
Hmm.
That's also amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I really love that.
Because
Going
it's a
on to,
prime. Go
yeah.
ahead. No, sorry.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. What I was going to say is, yeah, I was going to say the next question. Describe your comedy style.
I was wrestling with this, a little bit, and I would say that the if I could describe my comedy style in like if I could generalize it or if I
Yeah,
could summarize it to a single word, I would say personal. Like a lot of my comedy is about my direct life. It's about crazy things that have happened to me, crazy things that I've like have happened with my kids, or experiences that I've had directly in the world with people. Like, well, a lot of the times when I'm on stage, I'm kind of like the main character of my own story, telling my story to other people, like,
Yeah.
you know, and like that's kind of like where I focus on. Like, I don't do a ton of like observational comedy and stuff like that. I do some here and there, but the material that I'm most proud of and the material that I like to use the most is always the material that like relates to me or my family or my wife, or just things that I've, like I said, personal things, like things that I have experienced directly, as opposed to like commenting on something that's happening in the political spectrum, or something that's happening on the news. Like, finding the funny and the messed up things or crazy things that happen in my life has always been super satisfying for me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Finding comedy in the mundane, in the everyday
Yes.
life. Because
Yes,
you're right,
exactly.
we're already bombarded with enough news and media and stuff like that. So just finding like comedy in the small things
Mm.
is impactful. It really is impactful.
Yeah, I would say it's like I would say it's what allows you to be the most authentic,
Yeah,
because you're
absolutely.
talking about things that actually happen to you. You're talking about things that like you've seen, or things that you've experienced, or so like there's no better delivery than when you were actually there for an event.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And going on to the next question there, name three comedians who
Mm.
influenced your
What's your
career.
career? Okay, so I feel bad now because of the I kind of use a one I only use I kind of use like two comedians in the name three people who influence. Okay, so comedians, sorry. Cat Williams for one. Like, I remember genuinely loving like him on Wild and Out, and also when he eventually like started doing his specials. Like, I was watching them. I was in like that prime age where I was just a tiny bit too young to be watching these things, but I was still watching them.
Yep.
When they came when it was Pimpin', like all of these specials,
Yep.
like I saw them around the time when they had first came out. Like, it wasn't like I saw them years later. I still remember when the Catpocalypse special was like released on Netflix. Like, I remember that, like, when it first came out. I think that was like 2011 or 2012. Like, so Cat Williams for one, because once again, like, something that I always used to love about Cat Williams, like, for a lot of his shows, you would see his first like 10 or 15 minutes of material was always about where he was at. And it would
Yep.
always still just be, so it would always be super hilarious because, and now that I look back as a comedian, when I look back on that, I'm like, oh, he probably was just thinking about that stuff while he was exploring. Like, that's not rehearsed material. He just like on the spot, like talking about like, crazy neighborhoods he went through before he
Yep.
did the show and stuff like that. And I just kind of like love that approach. And yeah, like his just like I loved his like aggressive deconstruction of like like political stuff. Like, he'd be very kind of like, ain't white people crazy, ain't niggas crazy, but then at the same time, then he'd like, talk about something very serious and political, but like he'd break it down in a way that was like super dumbed down, but also very
Yep.
complex at the same time. And I always appreciated that because it was like, okay, cool. Like, he is doing like what you want to do as a comedian, where you're like, you have something to say, but he does it in such an expert, he has such an expertise where it's like, it's still absolutely hilarious. Because, being a local comic, you see a lot of comedians who try to do the political stuff and they just end up sounding super ranty. They're not super funny. And
Right.
yeah, seeing him on TV and on streaming services on YouTube and all that stuff, you're like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be done. I was always a good big fan of that. Um, hmm. Let's see another one I'm gonna give a shout out to another local comedian. He is
Oh
a
yes.
he is another guy. He's a guy named Ruben Ramirez. Ruben Ramirez is just kind of like in the last like year or so, he's just kind of started to fully step into the headliner role where he's like doing shows where it's just about him, like, and I say that because he's someone that I know, directly. Like, I can call him right now and talk to him. I can text him right now, so he's someone tangible in my life. He's also someone that's given me
Awesome.
he's also someone that's given me spots here and there, but he influences me because he's the prime example of like kind of he's an outlier, but at the same time he's a prime example of like what you think is going to happen when social media works. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
absolutely. 100%.
okay, cool. Because if not, I can also elaborate. Um, he had some like videos go viral like 2 years ago, and it was his stand-up clips and stuff like, or like a roast battle clip. It was like a few different clips that went viral, and he kind of used that momentum to kind of like push himself to be a headliner. Like, he's the I would say he gets all the praise for like doing it himself, because like as soon as he kind of got that push, he put on some shows in the city where like he's like, okay, it's just about me. I'm shooting for an hour, like, and he was, because of those like viral videos, he had like a decent crowd, and like that was where his cultivation of his audience began. And since then, I've watched him and I've talked to him on several different occasions and kind of saw him grow and get into bigger venues and do bigger things,
Hmm.
and go from doing like a 50-person room to doing like 300 people, and it's like I've watched him kind of take these steps, and it's been very influential for me because, like I said, I remember when he first started doing these smaller shows, and I was like, oh, well, that's cool, and it's great to see the success. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. I love how you always shout out, the ones from your hometown. I just love
Oh,
that.
oh,
I
I have
do.
to. I mean, like everybody, I try to be realistic about, I try not to sound like a robot when I do these like interviews or podcasts and stuff
Right.
like that. Like,
I got
because
you.
I know I mentioned Kevin Hart and Cat Williams and Dave Chappelle, but like sometimes you hear comedians and you're just like, who's your favorite comedian? Dave Chappelle. And it's just like, okay, really, that's it? Like, you didn't try to diversify at all?
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah. I get
like
exactly what you mean.
sometimes I feel like some comedians feel rehearsed, and I try not to do that. So I try to like really like I said, try to keep it personal, like people I have met, people I know, people I've done shows with, because you can learn something from everyone. Like it's not about just seeing people on TV, or seeing people on flyers for like outside of your local comedy club. Like it's way more than just that. But
Yes.
sorry, for my last one, I know I'm rambling. For my last one, I gotta I gotta come back. I gotta double up. I'm gonna go to Vic Panja again, only
Ooh, love
because
it.
only because he has shown me that you can be successful in comedy but not be famous, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like you don't, like he was one of the first people to show me that comedy comes in different shapes and sizes. Like there are nationally touring headliners who you've never heard of, but they make money doing comedy. Like they make enough money to live their lives and pay their bills and support their families off of comedy. And like like I said, Vic Panya is starting to get a little bit bigger than that, But like in general, he was the first one to show me that like, oh, that's a reality. Where like you didn't when I you don't necessarily need to be a Kevin Hart or a Dave Chappelle or a Martin Lawrence to still be successful in this game. Like
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's another one. Like I said, just people, that's what comes to my mind first. Of course I could name 15 other people, but yeah,
of
we'd be here all
course.
day.
But I like your choices regardless. Like I said, I like the fact that you shout out people from your hometown because you're right. Some people, when you do ask them, what's your favorite comedian? It's always like a generic answer. It's like you don't go out to your local comedy spots and check out what your own hometown has to offer.
Yeah,
It's,
like you weren't the
it's
headliner on every show you were on, so I know that there were other headliners, and you've seen
exactly,
people you like. Like talk about those people.
exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, Melvin, I want to make sure my audience keeps up with you and your comedy work. Where are you on social media?
I don't know if if you record just the audio or the video, but I'm wearing a little bit of my merch. But if you can't see
I
it, it's
love
okay.
it. I love it, by the
um,
way.
yeah, so you can follow me on pretty much all the social medias at Sensei Millie, at SenSeiMilly. I'm like an anime nerd, so that's where the Sensei part comes from. My brother, who was a rapper, before I got into comedy, I was like his manager. He used to call me Millie, so it was like obviously my name is Melvin, so it's kind of like that. He used to call me Millie, so like that's where that kind of just put the two together. You can follow me there. Only other thing I think, yeah, on Facebook and YouTube, it's at Melvin Stewart Comedy, and yeah, those are places that you can follow me. And like I'm making, always posting about shows. I'm trying to like do a good mix of like getting into like doing more sketches and more internet stuff. But like I love being on stage
Fun.
more than anything else. So yeah, check those out. Like I've released like 5 sketches in the last like week or something like that. So like like that's good for me, because I'm usually like one this month, 6 weeks later I do two more, and I'm very
Yeah,
inconsistent.
I get
Like,
you.
yeah,
I get you. I understand that. I'm trying to be more consistent on my posting as well. I get you on that.
yeah.
Ah, going on to the next question. What future projects are you involved with that you can give a little dish about to the J Lounge audience?
This is it's crazy because initially when initially you sent me the list of questions a little bit before this, but the literally right after you sent this, I got an email from the Ramova Theater, which is here in Chicago. It is a theater where Chance the Rapper was like one of the people who contributed to opening it,
Oh, wow.
and it's mostly a music space, but they're trying to do more comedy shows there. And one of their representatives reached out to me directly and was just like, "Hey, we love what you're doing with Big Black Comedy and Big Black Comedy Presents. Like, we'd love to bring that show to the Remova because, basically we've done some comedy, but we still feel like we could have something more consistent. And this is like an untapped market, and that's something exciting. So I'm in the process of right now of like
Wow.
negotiating a deal with them to like bring like to bring my show there, and that's it's so far so good, and it's going in the good way too. Like it's going in a way where I'm like, oh, I can put on a good show and also make a little bit of money, not just put on a good show.
Right.
So
That's a
uh,
bonus. That's a
yeah,
bonus.
yeah, that's one of them, and I was gonna say I'm also it's very very it's in its infancy right now, but I am working on a little short film. Like, I've
Oh,
only I've maybe shot like I mean the script is fully written. I have the cast. Like like the people who are gonna be in it. Like they know what they're supposed to be saying. Like they have their scripts, their parts of their scripts and stuff like that. But like literally at this point, I've only shot like a minute of it. Like I've shot like my part, and like it's just for me, it's just like trying to be more creative. You know what I mean? Like I think you see a lot in the creative world, not just outside, not just comedians, but rappers, poets. Everybody has these ideas, and very rarely do they execute these ideas. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like, even if this is like an 8-minute short film, it's just like to say that I, wrote something, put it together, collaborated with other comedians in the scene, and made a little movie. It's something that I really hold in high regard because it's like
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it for over a year, and then now I'm actually kind of like taking the steps. And like I said, I do have like a full like minute of edited footage, so it's like it is in the works. You know what I mean?
That is awesome. Really. And you're really stepping out into a new, trying something new,
Yeah, then
trying
that's
something new. And there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, man. It's coming along. Like I said, I've shared the script with people, and they like what I've been what is written, and which is good. It has me like looking up like videos about cinematography and stuff like that, like and how to shoot movies on your iPhone and all shit like that. Like,
That's awesome.
mhm,
I love that. And I cannot wait to hear and know more about the short film as it comes along. So make sure you keep us here at the J Lounge posted for sure.
of course, of
Oh,
course.
thank you. Going on to the next question. Melvin, what goals do you hope to accomplish in your comedy career?
The overall goal for me, like I feel like as a comedian, the goalpost keeps moving. Like it's consistently moving until you hit a certain point. And a lot of people don't ever hit that certain point. Like initially one of my goals was I wanna, when I first started doing comedy, I took a class at Second City, and that was in Chicago, that's right across the street from Zany's, which is a like very popular comedy club. And I was just like one day I want to be performing at Zany's, and like or one day I want to be performing at the Laugh Factory. One day I want to be performing at, the Comedy Bar, like and but I feel like if we're talking about on the over a course of the long term, I mean, my main goal is I hope that I can, in a reasonable amount of time, I hope that I can get to a point where comedy can completely take care of me and my family. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't need to be at this point. I'm not dying to be super famous. I don't need to be like on red carpets. If I could just get to a point where like, I'm headlining weekends here and there, and I'll get a few thousand here and there to like headline, like somewhat, consistently. Like that would be like a major accomplishment, you know, and my comedy
Absolutely.
goals. Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
Mhm.
that would be the point where comedy would genuinely be a job, not in no way where it feels like a job, but the fact that like the amount of you're working consistently and you're bringing in money consistently that helps you live your life, so yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the way you're progressing, I have no doubt it's going to happen for you soon.
I
No doubt.
appreciate that.
Of course. Of course. Going on to the next question. What other passions do you have outside of comedy?
I love graphic design. That's I I I designed this right here. Like I
I
said, I
think
don't know
that's so cool. I
if
love that
yeah,
shirt. It's so cool.
yeah. Like I love graphic design. I'm big. I'm really artsy. I had a very brief but very aggressive graffiti era when I was a teenager. So like that was like like another like I've always been into arts, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
drawing, painting, all that type of stuff. I'm also like a I'm also a massive like video game nerd and an anime nerd. Like I'm just a nerd all
Same.
around. You know what I
Same. So no,
mean?
no shame. No
Like
shame
literally,
at all.
like I was playing Elden Ring Night Rain like right before you call like we got on this call. Like you know like I was rewatching like Inuyasha last night. You know what I mean?
I
like
love
I'm
that show. That is my
that was
show.
that was like the first anime that I ever saw outside of like the Toonami stuff. Once
Yeah.
again, I
Oh,
found I found
God.
Inuyasha on Xfinity once again on Comcast on demand. It was some channel you could they had a bunch of episodes and I used to watch it like super religiously.
Yep, yep, me too. Look, I don't think this new generation understands the chokehold tsunami had on us, okay?
oh, they can never understand it because this new generation, even my stepdaughter was born in 2012, but she can't fathom like how like anime wasn't immediately accessible like that. So like
Right, it
either you,
wasn't.
so you either had to go on these super shady websites that your mom would yell at you because now the computer got a virus, you know what I mean? Or you'd have to wait till Saturday night to watch Toonami. Like and
Yeah,
that was it.
yes, that was
Like
the only two choices. Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And Inuyasha was my show, still is my show. I fell in love with the show. I love anime. My older brother and I, we bonded over anime, so it is a huge, huge part of my life. So I'm right there with you on that.
Have
I'm
have you
right.
have you watched the sequel series where it's like they're kids?
Wait, were Inuyasha's kids?
Yeah, there's like a sequel series where it mainly focuses on like various like kids from India. Like it's basically a continuation of the original series. It
Okay,
started in like 2022 or something.
I'm going to need you to send me a link on email because I have not seen nor heard of that. I'm
Yeah,
going to need some links here.
I
That's
got you.
what
I'll
I'm going
send
to
it to
need.
you. I have
I
my
need some
laptop like
links. Thank
right
you.
next to me. Yes, of course.
Continuing on, we can nerd out on anime all day, but to continue it on, going on to the next question. If you could collaborate with any comedian for a stand-up show, who would you pick and why?
Mm. I want to be grandiose. Like I want to say like fucking Eddie Murphy.
Ooh,
Well like I want to say that, but like I don't want to stand on that because it's like because then I start overthinking. Then I start getting practical. Like, oh, if I was on a show with Eddie Murphy, nobody would give a fuck about me. Like, they only care about Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
like, you like, and like, I know this is just a hypothetical, but for me, I'm like so literal at times where I'm like, how could I like, who would I want to collaborate in a way where I wouldn't necessarily look like an outlier? And I don't know. I mean, I think a good one, somebody who's done a lot is Kev on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin on stage, with his various showcases and stuff like that. I think that would be a cool thing that I could collaborate in a way where like he wouldn't completely overshadow me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
I don't know. Like that's just something that my first thing that came to mind. But yeah, obviously the dream would be Eddie Murphy because like I've been one of those people where I'm just like Eddie Murphy can't be the best comedian because he doesn't do stand up comedy anymore. So I need him to come back and do stand up comedy.
Oh God, yes. Oh my goodness.
Just
Yes,
like
I
people,
so agree.
just like people try to say like, oh, Andre 3000 is like one of the best rappers. I'm like, he don't even rap no more. So can he really be considered one of the best anymore? Like if he's not actively rapping,
Right.
and
No,
it's just
I
like,
get it. I get it. It has been almost what? Correct me if I'm wrong. Has it been like what, almost 20, 30 years since the last stand up that Eddie Murphy has
Eddie,
done. I do
eh,
believe.
I think he said it in the different occasions. And I think the number kind of shifts a few years, but a lot of people say that Eddie Murphy stopped doing stand up in like 1988 or something like that,
Yeah,
87 or 88. So it's been
yeah,
it's
it's
been
been a
almost
while.
30 years. Yeah,
I feel like the internet would break if he were to do another because
I
it's
feel like
been so long.
it's been so long. I feel like the internet would break clean down the middle. There would be like people like we don't want to see this old ass nigga. Like yeah, he was funny in the 80s, but that don't mean nothing no more. And then there would be other people who would be like, fucking finally, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, people naming their kids Eddie Murphy because he finally put out a new special. Like, and I feel like it would be either or.
It would be either or. I'm so with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm so with.
Eddie Murphy, you mean that dude that's in that movie with Pete Davidson? Like, he do stand up comedy? Like,
Look, look, Eddie Murphy is comedy gold. Harlem Nights is still my favorite movie of all freaking time. I could quote it from word to word.
oh, see, you said one of the cliche answers. You gotta talk about Norbit. Norbit is my favorite
Oh,
Eddie Murphy movie. I can quote Norbit word for word for word. Like I've seen Harlem Nights, but Norbit is really my shit.
how could I forget about Norbit? Oh my God. I
Like
forgot.
everybody want to say Harlem Nights, Beverly Hills Cop. Like no, you got to think about the
No,
era
you
where
gotta think about Norbit.
yeah, you can't forget about Norbit. You got to remember the era where like his movies start to take like a little downtrodden,
Yes, yep, yep, yep.
and critically people hated Norbit, but like it did well as a movie, but a lot of people still don't like it as a movie. But for me, I'm like this is gold. Like
It is
Marlon
gold.
Wayans with
This
Cat
is,
Williams, Eddie Griffin,
yeah,
like
it was absolutely gold. No, I agree with you. It was gold. I have no idea what the hell people were bitching about. That movie is a cult classic. It is now,
yes,
which is great.
100%. I'm gonna watch it after this interview.
I mean, I think I'm doing the same damn thing. I'm not lying. It's so
Matter of fact, I'm gonna watch it during this interview. How about that? Like,
watching their movie. How about that? Oh, Melvin, you have been such a pleasure to speak with. I've had so much fun with this interview. Possibly one of the funniest interviews I've done in a while. You definitely have a clear direction of your comedy, where you want to go, how you want to put that out there. And we just can't wait to see more success and to come your way because it's definitely coming for you.
oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me. Like, cause I know people that have watched this probably know this, but like we don't know each other. A comedian that I know from Louisiana commented on your post saying you were looking for comedians, and then I reached out to you from there. So it's like you didn't have to take this time to do this. So I appreciate you immensely, for taking your time to speak with me, even like humoring me and listening. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a famous comedian. I'm just another local comedian on the grind who's trying to make some big steps. And thank you for, taking the time to talk with me and like really give me my chance to kind of like express myself. Like I appreciate it immensely.
Oh, absolutely. It is my pleasure and honor. It really is. I enjoyed my time speaking with you. I enjoy doing this. This is exactly what I do this, famous, non-famous. I just enjoy doing the interviews. It's my creative outlet. So really it's my pleasure,
Uh,
for sure. But I do want to make sure to highly encourage my audience. Make sure you go and follow, support Melvin Stewart on all social media, Sensei Millie, YouTube, Threads, if you're in Chicago, give him a shout out, give him a hey, give him a like, follow, support. We want to see more of Melvin's work. He's doing the damn thing. So we just want to support him so we can see more.
Thank you. Yeah, can I give a plug real quick? Like,
Of course.
yeah, please, for however many people are watching this now, whenever it comes out, please, if you like me, check out my comedy special. It's on YouTube for free. It's called Ain't Nothing Special About It. It wasn't really supposed to be a comedy special, but like it was it was my first time doing 30 minutes like consistently, and I was like I felt really good about it, and it turned into like something special, like turned into like a little time stamp in my comedy career for myself. So like I'm really happy to kind of like promote that and like really put that out there. Like check it out. Ain't Nothing Special About It by Melvin Stewart. Follow me, like she said. Follow the J Lounge everywhere you can. She's doing good work out here. Giving spotlights to people, and that's super important.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
That means a lot. That really means a lot. And of course, I want to highly thank everyone for listening in. I want to thank my amazing guest, Melvin Stewart, one more time for joining in on us today. Again, make sure you guys follow him, give him a shout out, give him a like, give him support. Again, we want to see more of Melvin, especially 2026 is coming up, so let's blow him up so we can see him more in 2026. Okay, you guys know I've been your hostess with the mostest, aka Miss J, Miss Simone Jackson. I will be back with another great episode of the J Lounge here soon. Till then, you guys stay warm and dry out there, and I'll be back. Bye.